Welcome back to Unfilter'd, the podcast that's just like your ex. Loud, unpredictable, and full of unsolicited opinions. I'm your host, Midwest Mama. Before I get into today's chaos, let me just say, I need coffee. Like, immediately. If you're listening to this and wondering what keeps me going, it's a delicate balance of caffeine, sarcasm, and the sheer force of will to get through another episode without throwing my laptop across the room. This week we have Valentine's Day, a day for love, romance, and in 2025, a front row seat to the absolute dumpster fire that is modern dating. Ladies, let's be real. Men aren't even men anymore. We've got a whole generation of dudes who think making eye contact is too much effort, expect women to chase them, and can't commit to dinner plans, but somehow have the emotional bandwidth for 5 situationships and an AI girlfriend. These are the same men who ghost you after weeks of texting because life got crazy, but you see them posting gym selfies and conspiracy memes 5 minutes later. They want a woman who's hot, fit, submissive, makes 6 figures, has no past, no opinions, and no expectations. Meanwhile, they live with their mom or wife and think washing their sheets once a year is good hygiene. And don't even get me started on the absolute delusion of men over the age of 40 who want a 22-year-old with no baggage, but bring their ex-wife drama, 2 kids, a beer gut, and a superiority complex. So if you're single this Valentine's Day, count your blessings. The dating pool isn't just filled with pee. It's a full-on biohazard. At this point, women should get tax breaks for staying single. Happy Valentine's Day, ladies. May your vibrator last longer than his attention span. And while we're on the subject of vibrators, let's talk about women's health for a second. Ladies, let's have a moment of silence for our hormonal stability. Because if you're anywhere near 40, you know what's coming. Perimenopause, aka puberty's unhinged, vengeful older sister. You think PMS was bad? Try having it 25 days a month. 1 minute, you're fine. The next, you're rage crying because someone breathed near you while simultaneously sweating like you just ran a marathon. Your body's over here playing a game of will she get her period or just randomly bleed to death in a Target. And doctors, oh, they're fucking useless. It's just stress. Have you tried yoga? Maybe you're depressed. No, Nancy, I'm not fucking depressed. I'm one hot flash away from burning this whole motherfucking place to the ground. And the sleep? Oh, you thought you were going to sleep. Cute. Enjoy waking up at 3 a.m. covered in sweat, questioning every life decision you've ever made. But don't worry, society will just tell you to age gracefully while shaming you for every wrinkle, mood swing, and extra pound that magically appears, despite eating nothing but air and regret. So, to all the women out here surviving this absolute hormonal circus with me, I see you. Stock up on fans, dark chocolate, and highly questionable amounts of caffeine and wine. We're in this together. And speaking of absolute hell, let's talk about the winter blues, or as I like to call it, untropical depression. Because if perimenopause wasn't already turning our bodies into lawless war zones, let's add the sheer misery that is winter. It's cold, it's dark by 4 p.m., and unless you're a damn polar bear, there's nothing enjoyable about this nonsense. This shit is the exact opposite of paradise. No sunshine, no warmth, just gray skies, chapped lips, and the overwhelming desire to tell everyone to fuck off. And let's be real, those happy, snow-loving weirdos who say, just embrace the season, can choke on an icicle. It's too cold to go anywhere, too depressing to function, and if one more person tells me to just get a happy light, like that's going to fix my entire melatonin deficient existence, I'm going to lose it. The only thing keeping me going right now is coffee, rage, and the distant promise of spring. But while we're stuck in this winter nightmare, let's talk fashion trends. If you're like me, buried under layers and barely keeping it together, you probably haven't been paying much attention to the latest fashion movements, but let's check it out because some of these trends are so ridiculous, they will make you question reality. First off, indie sleaze, aka grunge or goth, is making a comeback. And guess what? I've been rocking this look for years. Band tees, leather jackets, and combat boots, because who doesn't want to look like they've been hanging out at a dive bar since 2005? Duh. I guess I'm just ahead of the trend, and let's be real, I'm not even mad about it. Then there's chunky necklaces with charms, and by chunky, I mean gross. Who decided this was a vibe? Every time I see these monstrosities, I'm pretty sure I'm being attacked by a toddler's jewelry box. Let's leave the charm necklaces back where they belong, in our childhoods. Now, if you're one of those who thinks white crew socks over pants is a thing, I'm just gonna assume you've given up. It's ugly, it's dumb, and it doesn't even look remotely cool. Are we really pretending this is a thing? Is there a hidden trend I'm missing where gym socks are high fashion? Next up, hemlines getting higher because nothing screams, I'm an adult, like wearing a skirt that could double as a belt. Seriously, is this what we're doing now? Where's the modesty? I'm just trying to survive winter and now I'm supposed to flash everyone in a miniskirt in 30-degree weather? No, thank you. But then there's the boho chic. Finally, a trend I can get behind: flowy sundresses, wicker bags, and those big round sunglasses that scream, I'm ready for a picnic in the park, even though it's 40 degrees outside. It's relaxed, earthy, and honestly, I'm here for it. As long as we're not talking about fringed vests, I'm in. As for drip down fashion, yeah, no. And if you, like me, have no idea what that even means, don't worry, I Googled it for us. Drip down is the modern, full-bodied version of Jinko jeans, with huge coats, saggy pants, and oversized shirts. Who decided it was cool to wear clothes that make you look like a walking tent? Lazy doesn't even begin to describe it. How about you wear something that actually fits and doesn't make you look like you forgot what size you are? But hold on. Furry footwear is back, so at least I can pull out my Uggs and pretend like I'm living the high life. There's nothing better than that warm, fluffy embrace for your feet on a cold winter day. At least that trend gets a thumbs up from me, because we all know those Uggs are basically personal heaters for your feet. And now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's dive into some weird history, obscure holidays, and whatever fresh hell nature and the government have in store for us this week. So, here are some random fun facts. Your heart doesn't actually feel emotions, despite every cheesy love song ever telling you otherwise. Your heart is just a dumb muscle pumping blood around while your brain is the real puppet master behind all that butterflies in your stomach nonsense. Your heart couldn't care less if you're in love or having a meltdown. It's just doing its job. So next time someone says, I love you with all my heart, remind them that their brain, specifically a little mess of chemicals and neurons, is what's really responsible for that mess. Did you know that orgasms can stop hiccups? Forget holding your breath or drinking water upside down. Turns out, the cure for the hiccups might just be an orgasm. According to science, take note that someone got paid to study this. The vagus nerve, which plays a role in both hiccups and orgasms, can get reset when you take matters into your own hands. So next time you've got a bad case of the hiccups, just tell people you're going to handle it the scientific way. The first recorded Valentine's Day card was from a guy in prison. In 1415, Charles, Duke of Orleans, sent a love letter to his wife from the Tower of London where he was imprisoned. 'Cause nothing says romance like being locked in a medieval prison cell and still finding time to write a sappy note. If he could do it under those conditions, fellas, what's your excuse? Were you aware that your brain on love looks a lot like a brain on cocaine? Studies show that falling in love triggers the same dopamine-fueled brain activity as snorting a fat line. Both experiences cause euphoria, reckless decision-making, and the occasional life-ruining addiction. At least with cocaine, there's a rehab program. No one's out here running Love Anonymous meetings. And frankly, that explains everything. The longest marriage on record lasted 86 years. Most of us won't even live that long. Herbert and Zelmira Fisher were married for 86 years before one of them finally peaced out in their hundreds. That's 8 decades of putting up with someone's snoring, bad habits, and I forgot to take the trash out excuses. If that's not endurance training, I don't know what is. The tradition of engagement rings was started by none other than a diamond company's marketing campaign. Think that massive rock on your finger symbolizes eternal love? Think again. The whole diamond engagement ring tradition wasn't really a thing until De Beers pulled off the marketing scam of the century in the 1930s with a tagline, "A diamond is forever." Sound familiar? In reality, diamonds aren't that rare. Resale value is a joke, and you'd probably be better off putting that money towards therapy, since love and financial ruin often go hand in hand. Well, we know Valentine's Day is this week, but what obscure holidays did we find? How about February 13th, National Break Up with Your Cell Phone Carrier Day? First off, if you're still on AT&T or Verizon, that's a personal choice, and I respect your commitment to bad decisions. But really, let's take a moment to acknowledge that no matter who your carrier is, they're all robbing us blind. They know we need our phones, and they use that power against us. Kind of like your toxic ex, but with worse customer service. Next up, we have National Ferris Wheel Day, which happens to fall on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day and Ferris wheels. Two things that seem magical in theory, but often end in disappointment and nausea. I mean, sure, being stuck at the top of a ride with someone you love sounds romantic, until you're up there for 20 minutes because some teenager operating the ride forgot to press the button. And then we have Singles Awareness Day on February 15th. How ironic, the day after Valentine's Day. Singles Awareness Day is the day where all the "I don't need a relationship, I'm happy on my own" people suddenly start posting passive-aggressive memes about love being overrated. Stay strong, kings and queens. It's literally just another Wednesday. Last but not least, we have National Battery Day. This holiday is brought to you by all the lonely people keeping the battery industry alive, if you catch my drift. That's right, folks. We all know who the real MVP of battery-powered devices is, and it ain't the TV remote. You know what I'm talking about. And finally, let's take a look at this week in history. February 14th, 1929, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. A day of love? Sure. A day of getting gunned down by Al Capone's men? Also yes. Back in 1929, Capone's gang decided to celebrate by ambushing rival bootleggers and turning a garage into a crime scene. If you ever had a Valentine's Day so bad that it felt like a hit job, just remember, at least it wasn't this bad. On February 15th, 399 BC, Socrates was sentenced to death. Socrates was out here questioning everything, and the ancient Athens said, "Look, dude, we've had enough of your TED Talks." They sentenced him to death by hemlock poisoning, which honestly is probably the same fate awaiting anyone who drinks whatever is actually in gas station coffee. On February 17th, 1864, the first successful submarine attack. And by successful, I mean the submarine sank immediately after. The Confederate sub H.L. Hunley managed to take down a Union ship and then promptly went down with it, much like your situationship that seemed to be doing great until they suddenly stopped replying. And now for your chaos report. Bird flu is back because regular flu wasn't enough. Just when you thought it was safe to stop doom scrolling, the bird flu is making headlines again. Cases are on the rise, and scientists are nervously watching to see if this thing is gearing up for a bigger jump to humans, because that would be fun. Right now, the outbreaks are mostly hitting poultry farms and wild birds, but there have been a few isolated cases of transmission to humans. The CDC swears they have it under control, which, as we all know, is government code for "we have no idea what's happening, but please don't panic." So if you see a bird staring at you a little too long, maybe reconsider that park stroll. And if you needed another reason to stop eating chicken nuggets, here it is. Meanwhile, the good old-fashioned human flu is absolutely thriving. Hospitals are seeing spikes in cases, and everyone's favorite winter tradition, sniffling, coughing, and pretending like they just have allergies, is in full swing. Experts say this year's flu strain is particularly nasty, which makes sense because we're overdue for another collective suffering event. So if you haven't gotten sick yet, congratulations. You're either one of the lucky few or your immune system is just playing the long con. Either way, wash your hands, drink your fluids, and avoid small children and anyone who says, "I never get sick." They're either lying or absolutely about to infect you. Winter storms are wreaking havoc. Get ready to snuggle this Valentine's Day, because few things say romance quite like being trapped inside while the world outside turns into a frozen hellscape. The Midwest and Northeast are getting slammed with yet another round of brutal winter storms, leading to power outages, travel nightmares, and a collective questioning of why haven't we all moved somewhere warmer? Airlines have already canceled hundreds of flights, and if you had travel plans this week, good luck. This storm is bringing everything: blizzards, ice storms, and that special kind of cold that makes you reconsider all your life choices. Even Texas is seeing unusually cold temps, which is just further proof that Mother Nature is officially off the rails. Maybe she's in perimenopause. Girl, you alright? And on that topic, Indiana just got hit with thunder snow, which, if you're unfamiliar, is exactly what it sounds like: a snowstorm with thunder and lightning. Because obviously regular snow wasn't dramatic enough. Thunder snow is rare, but when it happens, it's basically Mother Nature saying, let's make this storm extra terrifying. And if you think regular thunder is unsettling, wait until you hear it echoing through a whiteout blizzard. And let me tell you, when I heard it, I thought I was in a Stranger Things episode or some shit. Moral of the story, the weather is out of control and we're all just along for the ride. Speaking of things that are out of control, I have an economy update for you. But if you were hoping for some good news, I regret to inform you that you have come to the wrong place. But let's dive in anyways, because misery loves company. Inflation, the gift that keeps on taking. Remember when a gallon of milk didn't cost the same as a small luxury item? Yeah, me too. Good times. Inflation may have cooled off slightly, according to economists, but that just means prices are still sky high, just not rising as fast as before. It's like being stabbed, and then when you stop bleeding out as quickly, the doctors go, "See? Progress." Grocery store prices are still ridiculous. Rent is so high you'd think landlords were charging for oxygen. And wages? Oh, those haven't budged much. So congratulations, your paycheck still disappears faster than your will to live on a Monday morning. Thinking of buying a house? That's adorable. Mortgage rates are still hovering around 7%, which is banker speak for rent forever, peasant. Home prices remain absurd, supply is low, and even if you could afford to buy something, you'd likely be in a bidding war with investors who have cash falling out of their pockets. At this point, you'd have better luck inheriting a house from a long-lost rich uncle that you don't even have than actually affording one on your own salary. And if you already own a house, congrats, you are now the ruling elite. Please take pity on the rest of us, who will be renting until we die. The Wall Street Casino is open for business. The stock market is currently having mood swings worse than a caffeinated toddler. One day it's rallying, the next it's plummeting. And in the middle of all the chaos, a handful of billionaires are making even more money while the rest of us are just hoping our 401ks don't turn into glorified monopoly money. Big tech is still laying people off left and right despite record profits, because nothing captures the essence of a healthy economy like gutting the workforce. And companies continue to raise prices while blaming everything except their own greed. But sure, tell me again how the market will correct itself. Welcome to the broke generation. U.S. household debt is at an all-time high because, shocker, everything costs too damn much. Credit card debt has blown past $1 trillion. Student loans are still a life sentence for anyone who dared to get an education, and people are now taking out personal loans just to afford basic expenses. Meanwhile, the government keeps printing money like it's a middle schooler with unlimited access to the Xerox machine. And national debt has hit 34 trillion, a number so large it might as well be a fake statistic. But don't worry, I'm sure everything will be fine. Definitely, absolutely, no need to panic. So, in conclusion, your money is worthless, your wages aren't going up, housing is a scam, and we're all just one financial emergency away from Googling how to live off the grid. That's your economy update. I hope you're feeling super optimistic now. So, there you have it. Romance, history, holidays, and proof that both nature and the economy are out to get us. Whether you're celebrating love, surviving flu season, or dusting off your Uggs, just remember coffee is the only thing that truly loves you back. Speaking of which, if you enjoy Unfiltered and want to keep me caffeinated, consider supporting the show. I've got an Indiegogo campaign running right now to help keep this podcast alive and unhinged. You can also check out my Linktree for all the ways to follow me, support me, and get more of my chaotic energy in your life. Find me on social media: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever the algorithm is pushing this week. Follow, like, share, or just message me about how much you love or hate today's episode. Either way, engagement is engagement. Until next time, stay warm, stay healthy, and for the love of all things holy, don't propose in a chain restaurant. Okay, love you. Bye.